Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Wellness Wednesday Wellness Exchange. I'm Dr. Alicia Clevenger. I'm coming to you from the Midwest in Iowa, and I am so excited for you to be here today, tonight, whenever you're watching this. I have a very special guest with us today, and I'm going to go right into talking about him, and we're going to get right down to talking about my favorite product from three, Éternel. So I have with us today Dr. Dan Gubler. He is the Chief Science Officer, the product formulator, the brains behind these amazing products we have here at 3. He is a PhD organic chemist. He's Caltech trained. He is absolutely brilliant when it comes to putting things together, how they absorb, and really everything about the human body and what it needs to really work like a well-oiled machine. And so I'm excited he's here with us. He has created over 70 formulations. He has 16 patents granted to him, which is absolutely incredible. He is well known on social media. I looked just to make sure I'm always up to date because it seems like his followers are rapidly increasing every day. He's over 645,000 followers on Instagram. And part of that is because he makes health simple. He makes it easy for people to understand and to break it down in ways that make people say, I can do that and I can improve my health. And that's what's awesome about the work that he does. So I'm excited to have here Dr. Dan Gubler.
Hi, Dr. Alicia. So great to be with you. And hello, everyone. Grateful to be able to be with you all.
Awesome. So we're going to be diving into my favorite product, Eternel. I've got one right here. And it is a little packet.
Ah,
Easy to take. He's got
oh,
his too. Oh, there you go. It's the purple packet. A lot of times the team will hear me talk about the purple packet. What's in the purple packet? And I'm like, this is something we will not go without for myself and my family in our home every single day. So let's just start off and talk about aging and cellular health. What does aging really look like at the cellular level? When do we start to see these changes? And how can we affect that? Can we really affect aging?
aging is a really interesting topic. As a scientist, I dive into problems, trying to figure out the human body, how it works, so that we can figure out ways to improve health. And aging is fascinating. From the nanosecond that we're born, when that beautiful baby comes out, that baby is destined to die. So, for whatever reason, and it's fascinating because we don't know exactly why cells die, why they start to decay. What we do know is that cells perform millions of processes every single second. And for whatever reason, starting around our 20s and our 30s, those processes they slip a little bit. You could think of like a chain on a bike, where you have that sprocket and you're riding your bike. And, maybe we've had the instance where that chain gets a little old and it'll slip just a little bit. And then as if you keep riding that bike, it'll slip a little bit more to the point that eventually you won't be able to pedal at all. The bike will stay stationary. And that's what happens with the aging process. There's several different hypotheses of the aging process, of how it works. The one that's most relevant to Éternel is the oxidative stress theory of aging. And basically, what that means, you could think of a nail or a piece of metal when it's exposed to water, when it's exposed to air, it undergoes a process called oxidation, which basically that material, the molecules in that material, they're attacked by oxygen and it forms other molecules. And these molecules over time will break down the original material.
It makes sense. So that's where Eternel comes in. What does Eternel do for the body? Tell me if you could give me an overview of what is this purple packet if I wanted to describe it to somebody.
Yeah. So, one more thing about oxidative
Yeah.
stress, it's also a term that we've heard, which is oxidation.
Mhm.
So, in the body, you don't want oxidation. These molecules, you don't want them to be oxidized because when they're oxidized, then they start to break down. And so, the conditions in the body that form oxidation is called oxidative stress. So,
Okay.
the body naturally produces molecules that are antioxidants, meaning they prevent oxidation from occurring. And when the body is under oxidative stress, these antioxidants run to the scene and they quench, they extinguish oxidation. So it's kind of like firefighters, right? When there's a fire that's happening, a wildfire or something like that, or a house is on fire, the antioxidants are the fire brigade, the fire truck, the firefighters that zoom out
Yeah,
there and quickly put it out, right, with their hose and
right.
whatnot, with water. And so we need to have a large amount of antioxidants in the body all the time. Oxidative stress happens and the aging process accelerates when you have free radicals, when you have oxidation. And when the free radicals, the oxidation, are in a larger amount than our antioxidants, then the aging process occurs. What we want is we want large amounts of antioxidants, more than the oxidative stress levels. And if that's the case, then the body's healthy. It's always able to extinguish the free radicals, the oxidative products that are produced, and the body is healthy and strong. And as a result, the aging process slows down. And so, this packet, one of the miracles of it, is it contains large amounts of antioxidants, hundreds of milligrams of antioxidants, and thousands, probably I would say 500 different antioxidant molecules. When you take all of our products together, you get thousands of molecules and you get a lot of hundreds of different antioxidant molecules. But this here, 500 different antioxidant molecules in it. And so every time you take Éternel, you can think of it in our firefighting analogy. You're adding more firefighters, you're adding more water, you're adding more fire trucks, more firefighting equipment, so that the instant you have a flare up, whether a forest fire or a house is on fire, those crews are ready to respond right away. They're in the location. They don't have to drive 5 hours to get to the fire where the structure would already be burned. They're ready to go. So the body is in tune, in balance, and the aging process is functioning like it should.
That's an excellent way to put it. I talk a lot about rust, and I call this your
Yeah.
anti-rust packet. But
Yes,
the
exactly.
Firefighter is so good. It's like every time you take this, you're adding more to your firefighting force.
That's right. Exactly. And if we use the rust analogy as well, that's great, right? That this is basically like putting an anti-rust coating on your body, right? The body could rust out. And so when you
Yeah.
take this, you're galvanizing the body so that
Yeah.
it doesn't rust.
Make it strong. It's easy. Just so let's talk about a little bit before we jump into the ingredients. Um, you can take this really any time of day, right?
That's right.
And I know there's some on my family included. We love these cold. Like we love to keep them in the refrigerator. Some people will make popsicles with them, freeze them and make special cubes. All of that is okay, right? We're not really ruining any of it by doing that, correct?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that when you cool this down, you're actually preserving the molecules in it. So cooling it down is a good thing. Now, when
Awesome.
we formulated this, we formulated it so that it could sit at room temperature for a long time, right? The shelf life of this product is 2 years. So this can sit room temperature a long time. We've done really strenuous quality and stability studies showing that the molecules and the amount of molecules in this product stays consistent over the life of the product. So, for instance, we say we have 200 milligrams of resveratrol in this product, and we do, and it's been third-party tested and verified. What that means is that all the way up until 2 years, and we've actually shown that it's more like 3 years. That's kind of a tangent, but all the way up until the shelf life of this product, you have 200 milligrams of resveratrol. So it's stable. One of the things I love about it is it's so convenient to take. I like the liquid form. Sometimes with a powdered stick pack, and they're great as well, you need to find water. With this, you could easily throw it in your purse, in your backpack. You could throw it in your kids' bags as they go to school. You could put it in your briefcase. I like to, when I wear a sport coat, which is a lot of days here in the office, I actually just put it in my pocket of my sport coat. So it's great wherever I go. I can pull it out and enjoy. And
Right.
yeah, it doesn't matter what time of day you take it. I think people want to make it more complicated than it is. And it can be if you have low quality products. But the way that we formulated these products and with the high bioavailability of the molecules in these products, whenever you take this product, whatever time of day, those molecules are going to rush into the cells. They're going to stay into the cells for, 18 to 24 hours. And so you're going to be protected and you're going to have a large amount of medicinal therapeutic molecules anytime, night or day, when you take this product.
Right. I mean, I have one of my teenagers that takes it with his breakfast because it's sweet. So rather than ingesting juice and all the really high carbohydrates of juice, and honestly, straight juice out of a bottle isn't the healthiest thing for us. I know we're packing in with that sweet flavor that some people like to have with their breakfast, but it's packed full of great things for them. Another one of my kids take this like an applesauce pouch in their lunch. So while other kids are loading up on their applesauce pouches, mine's ripping this off and drinking the purple pouch with her lunch, and getting what she needs. So you can, and I do, as I'm a busy mom with three kids, I want them in my purse, in my car, on the go, wherever I can go and have it be easy and get it right in my body. So, all right, speaking of resveratrol, we're going to dive into each of the ingredients that make up Eternal, because I think it's super important for people to see what makes up this anti-aging superhero packet. So you touched on resveratrol. Why 200 milligrams? Like, what was the reasoning behind 200 milligrams of resveratrol? And a lot of people call resveratrol the longevity molecule. I hear that a lot. That's a couple of the questions. And then let's start there. Why 200? And then why is this product so important for longevity and health?
First of all, resveratrol is one of my favorite molecules, and it is a molecule. And if you haven't been around for a while, if it's your first introduction to the company, we talk about molecules a lot. We love molecules. And the simple definition of a molecule is two or more atoms put together. That constitutes a molecule. So resveratrol is a beautiful molecule. It consists of a bunch of carbon atoms put together. It's found naturally in high amounts in grapes. It's found in high amounts in peanuts. And it's also found in the highest amounts in a beautiful plant called Japanese knotweed. And so to get the highest amount and the highest quality of resveratrol, what we do is we take resveratrol and we do an extraction of Japanese knotweed, and we gently go in and we pull the resveratrol out of Japanese knotweed. A few other polyphenols and other medicinal molecules come along, and that's our resveratrol source. And why 200 milligrams of resveratrol? Well, clinical studies that have been done in the scientific literature, and more importantly, our own studies that we've done in our laboratory show that 200 milligrams is the right amount of resveratrol to support aging and longevity. One of the interesting things when people have resveratrol supplements is a lot of times they don't have a lot of resveratrol in them. So in the marketing material, they'll call out resveratrol. For instance, they'll say, we have grapeseed extract in our formulation, other companies. And what they'll say is, well, by default, it now has tons of resveratrol. But when you go and you analyze that formula, and we've done that, the actual amount of resveratrol is maybe 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. So there's not that much resveratrol in there. And so one of the beautiful things about this product is it's standardized to resveratrol. And standardization, what that means is that we've gone through the formulation, the curation process, where we've curated an exact amount of resveratrol. So when you take this product every single time, every day, every night, rain or shine, it's going to have 200 milligrams of resveratrol. And one of the things that we've done with our fascination with molecules is we've shown that molecules in our product can regulate genes. And we're not talking about pants, Geans. We're talking about genes, Genes. And these genes, the body has 25,000 genes. And these genes act as master switches to control all the processes in the body. And one of the molecules that controls the aging process is resveratrol. And it controls a gene called SIRT1. We won't get too geeky about it, but SIRT1 is one of the master switches relating to aging. And lifestyle factors, poor diet, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, pollution, and other lifestyle factors can cause this switch, SIRT1 switch, that controls the aging process to become damaged and to become broken. So if you've ever had, the kids are roughhousing in the house or whatever, and they break a switch, right? One of those light switches, you can turn it on and off and it doesn't work, right? The switch either stays off or it stays on constantly because that switch is broken. That's how genes in our body can become broken, and that's called epigenetics. And so resveratrol can actually go in and repair that switch and fix it so it now works properly. So the aging process is now balanced in the body.
Well, that's incredible. I learned something new every day. I'm learning a lot today. One more quick thing about resveratrol. I have heard people say to me, well, I drink red wine. Isn't that enough resveratrol? And would you share with everybody, because I do know the answer to this one, um, how much red wine would you actually have to drink to get the amount of resveratrol that's in one packet of Éternel?
Yeah, so red wine, depending on the quality and whatnot, and the type of grape, and also the shelf life, right? Because red wine does not undergo, they don't undergo the curation process, the standardization process. So one glass of red wine can contain anywhere from 1 milligram to 5 milligrams of resveratrol. And so what that means is to get the equivalent here, right? If we take this beautiful packet, and I'm going to take it here as we talk, when we take this, we get 200 milligrams of resveratrol. If we use the red wine comparison, you would have to drink anywhere from 20 to 200 glasses of red wine. And I think we all agree that's not only is that not
Not wise.
possible, but that's probably not a good thing for human health, right?
You just ruin your liver, basically.
That's
Right?
right. That's right.
Right. So speaking of the liver, let's move on to a very popular, increasing in popularity and talk ingredient, glutathione. So glutathione's gotten a lot of press lately. Um, just because they're talking about it out in the world right now, people are talking about things that deplete your glutathione levels. So we will chat here. I would love you to for you to explain to everybody what glutathione does. However, and also touching on, there's lots of things in the world that deplete your glutathione: stress, lack of sleep, foods we eat, all kinds of things that really deplete our glutathione. But let's talk about it. Why is it's getting a lot of buzz? So can you explain, like, what does it actually do for the body? What is glutathione? What does it do? Why do we need it? Why do we need it more as we age? So let's start there.
Glutathione is a beautiful molecule. The body produces glutathione. Glutathione contains a sulfur atom, and that sulfur is important because sulfur loves oxygen, the oxygen atom. So we talk about oxidation, and oxidation just basically means that oxygen, that atom is attached to molecules where it shouldn't be in the body. And the great thing about sulfur, it has a love affair with the oxygen atom. So when you have sulfur in glutathione, what it does is it scavenges the body like a bloodhound. And when it finds an oxygen atom on a molecule that shouldn't be there, it takes it and it rips it off. And when it rips off that oxygen atom from that molecule in the body, that molecule, which is malfunctioning because it has this oxygen, it's oxidized, can now function normally. And so that's a beautiful thing about glutathione is it's a antioxidant. So when we say antioxidant, what it means is it removes oxidation from a molecule. And glutathione, because of that sulfur atom, is one of the best antioxidants on the planet. The body makes glutathione, like I said. However, due to epigenetics and gene variants, there are some people that don't make a lot of glutathione. There are a small amount of people, about 1% of people are actually glutathione factories. They produce a lot of glutathione. And you can actually have your genes tested, epigenetic, to see what you are. But most people are actually lower producers of glutathione. And then, as you mentioned, Dr. Alicia, when you take these lifestyle factors, that compounds it even more. So the bottom line is most of us don't produce enough glutathione, right? Again, it's this balance. You want to make enough glutathione so it can overpower the oxidative process in the body, right? So again, our firefighter analogy, glutathione is like those master firefighters, right? That are magical at putting out the fire. These are people that have had 30 years of experience. They know exactly what to do and they're amazing and they can extinguish a fire in a few minutes, just immediately extinguish that fire. So that's what glutathione is. It's an expert firefighter. And we don't have enough of those in the body. So the beautiful thing is when you take this purple packet, you are introducing millions of glutathione molecules in there, right? So when we talk about thousands of molecules, I should say, the sulfur atoms, that's a more correct term. We're introducing millions of sulfur atoms into the body. So that sulfur atom is going to go in, it's going to scavenge the body, it's going to rip off oxygen, it's going to extinguish the fire, it's going to bring oxidative balance back to the body, and so that the body now functions properly for aging, for longevity, for inflammation, for gene expression. It's a beautiful molecule. And that's why it's gaining a lot of press, a lot of attention. Ingredients kind of ebb and flow, and people are they're learning more about glutathione, right? It's coming to public awareness and consciousness, and that's a great thing because we need glutathione. And glutathione's everywhere. One of the hot things that I'm seeing right now, and I'm sure you're probably seeing it where you live as well, is these IV drips, right?
Mhm.
Where you can go into an IV clinic and they have a bag of saline solution, which just means salt water, right? And then they have glutathione that they've thrown in there, and you could go in there and they put the IV in, the needle, and then they drip glutathione through your body. Well, the problem with that is glutathione hates water. It's hydrophobic. It absolutely hates water. And so when you have glutathione in water, what happens is number one, especially with the salt solution, it's breaking apart a little bit. And number two, that glutathione is so afraid of water that all those glutathione molecules are huddled together in the fetal position, yeah, in our analogy, right? They're huddling together and they don't disperse into the body. They just hold on to each other. They complex with each other. So when I'm taking that glutathione drip, the amount of glutathione that I'm actually getting into my cells, into the body is really, really low. And if you are new to our company, if you're new to three, what you need to know is one of the core tenets, one of the key pillars of our company is absorption. Because you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb. And so what we've done is we've made glutathione highly bioavailable, meaning that we've put glutathione with molecules that help the glutathione to feel comfortable around water. And then these molecules love water. So it's kind of this bipolar personality. And basically what they do, like when you go to a party and you're really shy and you don't want to interact with people, and then you have that friend that's really bubbly and loquacious, right? That'll kind of take you by the hand and hey, let's go talk to these people and and introduces you to people and then you're like, oh wow, hey, how you doing, right? They turn a wallflower, a shy person, into someone who can interact with people. That's what our cellular absorption technology does. It makes glutathione more bioavailable so the body can use it and tap into it so that we can reap the amazing benefits.
That's incredible. Thank you for that because that is a huge thing. I'm seeing more people pushing out these saying glutathione this and we have glutathione and it's like, oh, where'd you come up with that all of a sudden, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of companies that are tagging on to it, but I appreciate that you've really went into how and if there's anything else to add, how ours is so different with the absorption. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's absorption. The other thing, and I talked about it a little bit, is curation. So curation is a process of picking and choosing different things and putting it together in a novel, powerful way. Like a lot of us, we curate playlists, right? We grab different songs that we like, and we grab and we make different lists. When I'm working out, I want these really powerful, jumpy songs, that'll help me as I'm running or I'm lifting weights to help me get through my workout, right? And kind of hype me up. But then when we're sad, right? Maybe we make another playlist, right? They can help us when we're not feeling great. When we're reflective, when we're studying, we want different songs that help us. And social media does that all the time, right? They have what we call algorithms, right? That put together different materials, right? So that when I open up a social media algorithm, it will give me, a funny cat video, and then it'll give me a new way to slice a watermelon, and then it'll give me, I don't know, something about science, and it gives it to me in that order because it knows that I like that, right? That's the power of curation. What we do here at Three is we take molecules that we've discovered and we curate them, we put them with other molecules in order to provide power to the body. So it's not just the ingredients, it's the amounts, it's the type of ingredients that we've put together in this product to make it just perfectly suited for anti-aging, longevity, and reducing oxidative stress.
Yeah, that's incredible. So One of the great things about Eternel, and I'm sure people have been thinking as you've been drinking it, and I will do mine as well. Um, how does it taste? And it tastes incredible. It tastes like berries. It's so easy. And I will have people that will tell me, I liked it the first day, and a week later, I loved it. Like I craved it, right? Like they're just saying, like, I can't wait to have my Eternal every day because they crave it. And their bodies are smart. They know. I think part of the flavor, though, that they're feeling is from something called polyphenols. Or I think
Yeah.
you say polyphenols. However you say it, polyphenols. Can you talk about that? Because even I met with a woman yesterday and she showed me, she's like, I don't even know what this is. I'm taking it. It says polyphenols. And I said, well, let's look at it a little bit more. Let me tell you more about those because they're so important. So tell me about polyphenols and how they fit into this.
Yeah, so polyphenols, or you could say polyphenol. It's
Yeah.
interesting in organic chemistry, polyphenol is more the British pronunciation. In the US, we say polyphenol, but it doesn't matter. Potato, potato.
Yep.
Whatever the pronunciation, these are really important molecules. So one of the key ingredients that we have in Eternel is we have a bunch of different superfruits. We have acai, we have grape, we have cherry, and many others. And in these fruits, you have a class of molecules called polyphenols. And these molecules are made from the plant in nature. These molecules have a lot of different properties. They can help to reduce oxidation. The plant uses them for a lot of interesting purposes. So it's interesting, the plant uses polyphenols as a natural insecticide to ward off predators. They use different polyphenols for communication, plant to plant communication, and many other things. But the really cool thing is these polyphenols are medicinal for humans. And the
Mm,
fact of the matter is, we're not getting enough polyphenols into our diet. And so, you look at the modern processed diet, ultra processed foods, there's no polyphenols at all. And so, one of the beautiful things is this is loaded with polyphenols. Resveratrol is actually a type of polyphenol. Polyphenol is a broader class, kind of an umbrella class. And then you have hundreds of different molecules that are polyphenols. And so, the polyphenols are really good at all these medicinal properties that I talked about, but they do also help to add to the flavor. When you take this product and you have the sweet, and then there's a little bit of sharpness to the flavor, that sharpness is because of these polyphenols. And so it kind of not only are they medicinal, they actually help to round out the beautiful taste of this product.
mhm. And it tastes fabulous. Uh, One of the things I have a teenager that is a runner, and I would pack this in her lunch. And sometimes, if you don't know, you probably do, lunches in schools aren't very long. So sometimes they don't get enough time to finish their whole lunch, right? So what she found one day is she waited to take this, and then she had a cross country race that night, and she's got to the race and she thought, I'm just going to take this before I run. Well, she shaved time off her race, and she's like, I think it's from the Eternel. So I looked it up, and wouldn't you know, there are a lot of studies out there that talk about polyphenols and endurance. And so when taken within an hour before the activity. So she does that now on race days. She'll take a packet. I know people that a lot of athletes that will do that within an hour of the activity just to give them that competitive edge of endurance while they're doing an activity, which is awesome.
That
Yeah.
is really cool. And the reason why it does that is polyphenols work by producing a molecule in the body called ATP. So polyphenols work. So with the cell, there's a lot of different parts of the cell. And one of the parts of the cell is called the mitochondria. You can think of the mitochondria as the power plant of the cell that produces all the electricity, right? Wherever we live, there's a power plant somewhere fairly close by that supplies the electricity for our home and for our work. And so that's what the mitochondria do. And the way that they do that, if we talk about a power plant, the energy unit of a power plant is a watt or a volt, right?
Mhm.
So a power plant puts out watts, and those watts are what power our home. Well, in the body, the energy currency of the body is a molecule called adenosine triphosphate or ATP. So those power plants, the mitochondria produce ATP. And polyphenols in the body actually increase ATP production. So it's really cool that when your daughter took one of these and then she went to her race, she actually had more energy molecules, more ATP circulating in her body than the other runners because of what she ate. So it makes sense that she would do better. And so it's not just physical activities that whenever the body needs to use energy, taking this is going to make it better. So let's say that I'm going into a presentation in front of my CEO or in front of the board. Taking one of these before will really help me to be sharp and active. Let's say that I'm a student and I'm taking a test, a really important test. Taking this 30, 45,
Wow.
60 minutes before your test will actually help you do better on your exam. If any sort of task where we need to have more mental clarity and cognitive function and just more energy in the body in general, taking this is going to improve it.
Yeah, that's incredible. I never thought about test taking. I love it.
Yeah.
Kids are me take an extra eternal.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of letters, ATP, we're going to go to CoQ10. We have two more ingredients left. So hang on, folks. We got two more left. CoQ10 is in here, which I know is just so important for so many things, heart health, all kinds of things. Let's just touch on CoQ10 a quick minute.
So we talked about how the body performs millions of processes, reactions every single second. And those reactions, they need to use what we call cofactors. These cofactors are molecules that help these reactions happen. And if you don't have these cofactors, then it's not going to happen. Kind of like a mediator, right? If you want to, sometimes where communication is hard between two people, you need a mediator that's there, that's kind of, refereeing and making sure that communication can happen. If that mediator is not there, then those people are not going to be able to communicate. So CoQ10 is a molecular mediator in the body. It makes sure that that communication happens. So if you don't have enough CoQ10, then these reactions are not going to happen and the body is not going to be able to function. So when we take Éternel with its large amounts of CoQ10, we're making sure that all of the connections, all of the conversations that need to happen in the body are occurring.
Mhm. More conversations just means better health, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Really is. So essentially, CoQ10 is something that everybody needs. We all need
It
it, right?
is.
It's in every cell.
We all
Makes
need
sense.
it. And related to aging and longevity, if you don't have enough CoQ10, then these conversations that are not happening, they're breaking down, and that accelerates the aging process.
So what diminishes CoQ10 in people?
Poor diet.
Okay.
We get CoQ10 from the foods that we eat, and the modern processed diet does not contain CoQ10. CoQ10 it basically it should have vitamin-like status in the sense of, with vitamin B1 or vitamin C, the FDA has come out and said, hey, you need X number of milligrams or micrograms of this vitamin for the body to function properly. There's other molecules like CoQ10, resveratrol. These should have vitamin-like status, basically saying in order for the body to function properly and to slow down the aging process, you need X number of milligrams of CoQ10 and you need X number of milligrams of resveratrol. And it just so happens that we found that that number of resveratrol that you need is 200 milligrams.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So somebody might say, Eternel, this isn't really a beauty product. Now, I think it aids beauty because when you have glutathione in your system, skin really glows. We talk about that a lot, but they might be surprised to hear that collagen is in this product. A little bit of collagen, not as much as our collagen, but a
Yeah.
little bit. Why collagen in here?
So, one of the first things of the aging process, and one of the first indicators that the body's aging is actually the skin. The skin is a mirror to the body. If you want to know what's happening inside the body, then you look at the skin. And so when someone has kind of dull, ashen looking, flaky type skin, one of the biggest things is that the aging process is accelerating inside in that individual. And so one of the best molecules, and it's a large molecule that can help to slow down the aging process and support skin health at the same time is collagen. And so we have about 1.6 grams of collagen peptides. Now, these are the same collagen peptides that we use in Éternel that are hydrolyzed and micronized. So they're small, they readily enter the cell, they turn on gene expression. So in our epigenetics study, that if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go into the back office, or if someone has invited you to watch this, ask them to send you the epigenetic study. And what you'll find is that our collagen product and our Eternel that contain collagen, actually they regulate genes related to longevity, related to brain health, related to heart health, related to oxidation. So while collagen has a reputation as being a skin health ingredient, it actually does much, much more than that. And so that's why we include collagen in our Eternel product.
So I thought I was done with questions, but I have one more because it reminded me. You hit the epigenetic study. So
Yeah.
one of the things that is so impressive about this is what this product does for inflammation. So you, in the epigenetic study, you looked at a gene called IL-6 and it lowers the production, or it downregulates IL-6 by what, 1250%?
Yes.
Explain that in better terms than I just did, what that means for people.
I'm so glad that you brought up inflammation because it's a big, big deal. In the scientific literature and in the scientific community, I went to a conference, it's been a couple months ago, and there were a lot of people talking about aging. The number one word that people were talking about, and it's actually a scientific word now, is inflammaging. And I know that you're a fan of this as well, Dr. Alicia. So
Yeah.
just think, if you take inflammation and aging and you put them together, that word is inflammaging. And it's actually a scientific word. If you go into PubMed or even Google or AI and you type in what is inflammaging, it'll give you a long definition. It'll give you a lot of good information. But basically, one of the biggest drivers that is accelerating aging in the body is inflammation. So inflammation is the root cause of all disease. We talk a lot about that, especially when we talk about our amazing Revive product, which can support a healthy inflammatory status in the body. So collagen, this ingredient that's thrown in Éternel and in collagen, but we're focusing on Éternel with the polyphenols. This provides a beautiful 1-2 anti-inflammatory punch that can actually slow down the aging process. Because the important thing to note is when we say inflammation, that's a very broad term. There are molecules that reduce inflammation, but there's inflammation globally, there's chronic, there's acute, there's inflammation in different organelles of the cell, there's inflammation in different organs of the body. And so when we say inflammation, that's actually a really, really complex term. And it's a really broad term. So when we say inflammaging, what we're talking about is the inflammation process related to aging. And as you pointed out in our epigenetic clinical study, one of the key genes that drives inflammaging is IL-6, interleukin 6. And so when that gene is turned on, inflammaging is accelerated greatly. And so what we've shown in that study, as you mentioned, is Éternel can actually turn off the inflammaging gene IL-6. And because of that, when that gene is turned off, when it's downregulated, the aging process is slowed and it's brought back into normal. And so it's really cool stuff. When you take this, there's many different mechanisms, many different pathways by which this product works to support aging and longevity, but inflammaging is a really, really cool one.
So with that said, after that last piece, I think you should start selling this by the gallon.
You
I
really
mean,
should. I mean,
I mean,
everybody
really.
should be taking this, and people might be like, well, why would I give it to my 12-year-old? She has beautiful skin, or he's amazing, and he's a star athlete on his football team. He doesn't need this. Or, I'm 24, my skin's beautiful, right? I have yet to have one wrinkle yet. It's
Oh, it's
amazing.
coming. It's coming. You
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah. Storm's coming, right?
The storm's coming.
Or I'm 45 and I look great and I feel great and I run a 5K every day, whatever it is. The bottom line is, I go back to what I talked about at the very beginning. The moment we were born, we're destined to die. The aging process is happening. It might be in the background. You might not see it as much. It might not be as pronounced depending on what stage of life you're in, but aging is happening. The bottom line also is, in the world that we live in today, aging is being accelerated. I mean, it's just a fact. we're aging more quickly than we should because of the toxic world that we live in. Because of
Correct.
toxins, because of pollution, we can't escape stress and anxiety. We can't eat the way that our great grandparents ate, where we grow everything and the things that we don't grow, we trade them with our neighbors who have them and whatnot, we just can't live that way. And so aging is a fact. It's a harsh fact. The
Mhm.
bottom line is all of us, we're aging too quickly. And so that's why we need this. That's why we developed this, so we can slow down the aging process, bring it back into balance so that we can live beautiful, long, happy lives. It's that simple.
It's huge. I was going to ask you to summarize it in a couple sentences, and you just did, right? There you go. I have one more question. Are you a
Awesome.
are you a roller or a squeezer? You roll
I'm a
your benefit
squeezer. I just
or a
kind of like
squeeze?
to squeeze it. Yeah. How about you?
I'm a squeezer. Yeah. Some people do both, right? Like
They
they
do.
they they squeeze it up and then they roll it because they want every last drop out of it. But I'm a squeezer
Yeah.
too.
I
Everybody,
am. And sometimes, rather than rolling, I just grab another one and I just go for it.
well, you can do that. You probably have an endless supply right there, right?
Well, that is true. I guess it's one of the benefits of being the
One of the
scientist.
perks of creating the product. Well, you can probably get it by the gallon too. Like you can probably just go get a gallon when they're making it.
Yes,
Just
yes.
take
When
it.
we go to our manufacturing plant where it's actually made in a huge vat, where we have 5,000, 10,000 gallon vats where we make it in at a
Wow.
time. And it is great. One of the great things about being a scientist is whenever we make a product, we do what we call quality control. And so what we do in the case of Eternel is we go to that huge tank and we pour some out, and it's actually hot. And it's interesting. It tastes really good hot actually as well. But
Wow.
anyways, we take it out and then we take it to the lab and analyze it, and we make sure that it has 200 milligrams of resveratrol and CoQ10 and polyphenols and vitamins and minerals and the superfruits and whatnot. But then after you do all the testing, you have a lot that's left over. So yeah, you just go ahead and,
Like
and have a nice
pancake
little drink.
syrup. You can do make it that. Like you can make a pancake syrup. You can make muffins with it.
That's right. We have it in a big container that we keep in the refrigerator, and so it's a,
Got
it's
a
a great
lucky family, Dr. Dan. All
thing.
right. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm excited. I'm excited for the whole world to see this video and hear more about why this is such an amazing product that really nobody else has what's in here. And so I'm excited to share this with the world, the three world, and for them to go out and share it with everybody. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you do for the company. Thank you for creating this wonderful product and being so knowledgeable about it. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Alicia. And I would just say, closing remark, one
Yeah.
sentence. This is the world's most powerful longevity anti-aging product. And you need to take it, and all the 8.2 billion people on the planet need to take it. And that's our mission. So thank
It
you, Dr.
is.
Alicia, for all that you do. I appreciate
Yes.
you and your
Thank you.
amazing expertise and your team. And just so grateful to be able to work with all the amazing people here at 3. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Thanks, wherever you
Bye-bye.
are. Bye bye.